I would like to steer things away a little bit from like the sad, hope, bleak thing, but there was a comment in there that wasn't bleak, but I thought was interesting. They're talking about like smell and memory, and how certain things or just certain things can cause you to like have a memory and you don't realize it. And they referred to that being like, this might be what déjà vu is. And I thought that was very interesting because like I get déjà vu all the time, and I think like, did I dream this or whatever? And I mean, maybe I dreamt something that was similar because I had an experience and I put these things together, like these smells and these places and stuff, and they just represented themselves in my life again. They came back, and I had this sense of déjà vu, and I really like that because I haven't had déjà vu since I read that. But when I do, I want to stop and be like, become very aware and look around me and be like, what am I smelling? What am I seeing? What am I hearing? And like, think about all those things, like all the sensations, that mindfulness, like five senses type situation where you're like, try to be present and figure out where the memory came from. Did anybody else?
I think it's interesting that you get déjà vu a lot.
Oh, I get it fairly frequently, I think.
Me too.
But I'm the opposite. I wish Kara was here because she would be right on my side with this one. And Sarah's in there. You just scienced the fuck out of it, Mare. And it's not that déjà vu means you're on the right path. And déjà vu is a sign from the universe, just so you know. Like, So I probably dismissed that point. I probably was like, that's not going in my memory. I have
like,
different
that's not
beliefs
what
about
déjà vu is, doctor.
Yeah, totally. I do not concur.
I think so too. I'm like, don't take the fantasy, the magic away.
Yeah.
Don't take the magic away.
Not you, Dr. Perry.
Yeah.
Did you guys? I was listening to the radio, kind of a side topic, but we're talking about senses and stuff. Have you ever heard of? I think it's called synesthesia. It's when people, there's quite a few people that have this. That when they have one scent, it connects to another scent. So someone will say, see the letter J or something, and it will represent a color. They'll see color, or they'll have certain, like, it'll connect, like you'll see something, there'll be a smell.
Music and color, tones.
And a lot of people that are, or some people that are, have perfect pitch. The one guy was talking about how he has perfect pitch because when he hears a certain key, he pictures a certain color. So if he just thinks of the color, and then that pitch comes, like the perfect pitch. So it just was, I thought it was fascinating, the idea of that link. I don't know if that has to do with déjà vu. I think it's called synesthesia. Hold on, Laird's around.
I wonder if you could train yourself to do that.
4% a good thing to look into.
I think I heard that's what Pharrell does.
Fix. I'm gonna get up and visualize the color of one.
Go in a room with green and like playing like the key of D or whatever.
Laird says it's called synesthesia. He was listening to the radio with me too. Yeah. So how cool is that? Like, I was like, I wish I had that. That would be so cool if you have. I
think Pharrell does that. He talks about seeing sound. And
maybe that's what he's doing.
There's smell, and like different people have different connections with different things, and there's a whole society and stuff of people that have this. And
this would be something interesting to learn if you could learn it. I just wonder if you could learn it. Like,
well, you got to, Lindsay, you could probably learn the smell one because you could probably associate smells more than other people because of your training.
Yeah, I think it's something in your brain. Like I think maybe that's connected somehow. Like,
but this is kind of like something. This is another side of what happened to you too. Maybe
genetic.
Like, it's genetic. Oh, is it genetic?
Yeah, Laird just said it. Sorry, they did talk about that. Now it is genetic. That so a lot of people in the same families have it. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
You might be able to. Maybe you can turn it on, Mare. Like get a 23andMe, see if you have it first, and then you gotta. You know what I mean? Maybe you could epigenetic
and like
it on,
epigenetic it up, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I need to have a lot of methylating factors.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Book interrupted. This interruption is brought to you by my bangs. All right, for anyone out there who's ever had bangs and have tried trimming their own bangs, you will understand what is at stake here. So I decided instead of trimming my bangs on my own, I would record myself so that in theory I am with others, and hopefully that will prevent me from going way too short. Okay. Let's see if we can do this, folks. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I'm so freaking nervous. What happens? Okay. Oh gosh, it's not a straight line. I really want to fix it, but I might just leave as is and then call in a helper like my sister when I see her in a couple days.
Book interrupted.
Okay, I have another kind of it's a safe topic about this book. So I'll give a little backstory. Does anybody remember when James Frey, or Frey, I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name, the author of A Million Little Pieces, when he went on Oprah and got first I believe he went on one time and got praised, and then everyone found out that his biography may not have been as factual as people want biographies to be. I'm still not clear on the situation for why he was skewered, but he was like, Oprah brought him back and like killed him verbally. So in this book, so I watched that. So, okay, I love A Million Little Pieces, still do. Don't care how much of it is true and not. It was really, really good. That'll be on one of my Manuscript Monday suggestions. Meredith,
can you explain what it is? I don't know anything about what you're talking about.
A Million Little Pieces was supposedly, and I always get the words wrong. So what am I doing? What am I writing if I'm writing a story about myself?
Memoir.
Okay.
It was a memoir for sure.
Okay. So James Frey writes this book. It's called A Million Little Pieces. It's about his like recovery from addiction. And it's awesome. And everybody loved it. And then some of it turned out to be not completely true. Like, I think there's some part he goes to, so because he was addicted, he was then like, can't use any substances ever. And then he like supposedly went to the dentist and had like root canals with no numbing or something, like something crazy that everyone was like, holy crap. And it was part of the thing that made the book so impactful to people. But then it turned out that that wasn't really true, or maybe him going to jail. Like, there were some pieces that he like made more interesting for his book. And when that came out, Oprah brought him back on and was like you lie. Like, it was like, I have the show notes for you, Lindsay. I have like clips to give you to post or whatever. Anyway, so I've always remembered that because I thought it wasn't very nice that what Oprah did, even if what he did was worthy of people feeling disappointed, or even, you know, I mean, I don't think he was fully deceptive. But anyway, so she starts talking about how we're like relationally impoverished in the world, and we're not really listening to each other, and disconnection's making us more vulnerable. And then Dr. Perry says something, and then she says, I see it all the time. Someone makes one mistake, or something they said a long time ago resurfaces, and cancel culture takes over. No one wants to listen to each other. So in this book, Oprah is, you know, kind of saying that's not cool. And I immediately, being James Frey's biggest like defender since I saw that first one, was like, what are you talking about, Oprah? Like, that's really hypocritical of you, because that's exactly what you did to James Frey. And then I Googled it because I was looking for the original attack, and I found, lucky for Oprah, no, just kidding, like I'm gonna go get her. But I found that she apologized to him, because she recognized that she did a faux pas. So she can say that because she's not a hypocrite, because she already did take care of her business. And she was like, so I have the link to that too, being like her, like, I don't know if it was an interview or 20 years later or whatever it was. This is me reporting my details so inaccurately. I'll probably get skewered by Oprah next. And then,
I hope Oprah listens to us.
Same, and I hope that she gets mad at me. Like, just so she calls me on the show. I'll take an Oprah beating so I can get on TV for sure.
Whatever you want. Do your
That's
work,
why
Oprah.
I don't tell my facts accurately. I've been constantly baiting Oprah this whole time. She hates that.
Can you imagine? 1 year.
You said this, but actually this.
Oh, look, I did it on purpose. So, but she does. She apologizes. She explains, like, I was really righteous. Like, she just really identifies where she went wrong in that interaction. And I want to give props to her, because what felt really hypocritical, she already was well aware of and managed it very well. And like, I think that they're friends now. I think they like email and whatever, like she mended that. So that was something I've been holding on to. And I was like, I'm most proud because I sourced the whatever sources so that I could give it to Lindsay. Because usually she's like, I'm going to need to know where you got that from or whatever. And I have it already saved for you.
Thank you.
You
or
are
I
welcome.
have to look for it, and I'm like Googling
Right.
like what you guys said and some weird words, and I'm like,
yeah. And I don't give enough accurate information to actually find it. Right. You're like, she said it was Oprah, but it turned out it's Cyndi Lauper. What the hell? Like, anyway, that's what I wanted to
I can't think of a more opposite person. like
literally, if you put like Oprah into a
How
computer,
did you even get those
and
two
you
in
select
your
an
brain
opposite,
at the same time? Yeah.
it spits out Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I did that.
I like thinking about Cyndi Lauper. I think I think
love
about her
Cyndi
more
Lauper.
than other people do. I do
Really?
think about her.
You think about her more than other people?
I think no, more
Really?
than other people do. Like I don't know if a lot of people think about Cyndi Lauper a lot.
I don't think
Sometimes I'm
you know.
Man,
I
she was
don't
so
ever.
good.
She is
So good. Whenever
Yeah.
I hear a song that's her song that someone's covering, I was like, man,
Nope.
Cyndi Lauper, she's great.
Yep.
Can I say one more thing about the book before we
Yes.
Wrap it
wrap
up.
up because it's soon? The one thing I liked that we've gone over and over in the podcast about, and that's come up in this book, is the idea of community in raising children, which I thought was really important. And I know Sarah talks about it in Senegal, and we've talked about it a bunch about how, the book says, like, just because maybe your parents aren't there as much, if you have a steady community of people who are there to support you, then if something like if one of those adults or one of those people isn't able to be there for you, say they have postpartum or whatever, if you have that community, then those children are also just going to be just fine. And so I thought that was just a nice way to kind of, talk about that topic again, about how important, or
The
how
village is.
Yeah, the villages. Thank you. Which came up in Sapiens as well, and came up in, I feel like we're circling all these themes over and over.
Yeah. I had therapy earlier this week, and I talked to her, just talking through an issue, like a parenting related issue. And it really made me think about how community, I have not developed a community of friendships with people who have children, school friends and whatever. It's like you kind of know them, but it's really just drop off and pick up stuff. But I'd really like to work on developing a community of one or two friendships with women who parent in the same style that I do, because that helps. It's one thing to ask opinions of people, but when they don't have the same kind of base ethos that you do around parenting, like, what's the point? You're just gonna not agree.
Sometimes it's hard to build that community too. Like, I don't know,
You don't know where to start. I haven't made a new friend in so long.
We're kind of like homey people. We staying home in a quiet house. But same thing. I'm trying to make an effort, because if I can build a community with the people who my daughter, the families that she's in class with, then it's nice, because then you can say, oh, can you pick up my kid at the end of the day? Or I'll pick up your kid, or you got a thing going. Why doesn't your kid come over here? And we can, we can get these close relationships, not just with the parents, but with the kids too. Cause kids love being loved by a ton of people.
And it's been such a weird time to raise, just a weird time to introduce your kids to these, they've been at home and then now they're in school, and it's a whole different level of interaction. And we've been forced to, for almost 2 years, not have community. And now it's boy, the scales feel unbalanced. So I think that is such a good point, Lindsay, to make, that it's we need each other. And even the single ladies who don't have kids, I find that's actually some of the best advice, because it's not blurry for them. And I don't mean single necessarily, childless. Yeah. And maybe men. I don't talk to men about kid stuff often, but maybe them too. It's kind of interesting when you talk to people without kids. It's just, they see it clearly sometimes. Yeah, more obviously. So I don't want to So Lindsay,
I have community here, so it's really easy. Like Mara said, like, can you pick up my kids?
I know. I was thinking like it's really sad that it's like I pay a therapist to talk about things that I'm worried about because I haven't developed any sense of community of people that.
I don't think that's sad. It's sad if you wish you had some friends to also talk about it with, but I think once you get those friends, you
maybe
should
not
keep your
sad.
therapist.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It made me feel something that I don't
probably
know
alone though, because you're like, I'm
Made me
paying
feel
someone
lonely.
for the things.
Yeah.
That
Made me
I feel
feel
like I
lonely.
could get somewhere else.
Talking to my husband about that, I think that's another like symptom of the individualist society, because there isn't that many therapists here. Because like I think about problems that happen in people I know or my family or whatever, and it's immediately like everyone's calling everyone. People are going to people's houses. Everybody is on it. Like you have a problem. We are all coming to figure out how we can make that a solution for you and make things better. So once again, you could be at peace. Like it's immediate. It's not like, I was actually talking to someone recently and they were talking about Canadians because they did yoga with some Canadians. They're like, oh, you're Canadian. And they said, they're like, Canadians are really nice, but there's something like, they're very nice and they care about you, but then they stop. And I was like, yeah. They feel sympathy and they'll help you to an extent, but that's your issue. And then they're gone. And then they're like, yeah, it's very bizarre. And they're very nice while they do it, but it's very strange. And then they just stop and then they go. And you're like, well, I told you my problem.
It's not solved yet. Where are you going?
Where are you going?
Like that's very
One
Canadian.
is like I have trouble asking for help, right? Like I have trouble asking. And the reason I saw Spiderman is because we were given tickets to a private viewing in the theater.
Oh, fun.
I was like, oh, maybe she could babysit. I'm like, actually, maybe we should just ask our friends if our kids can go there for a play date for, whatever, 3 hours or whatever it was. It ended up being 4 because there was over half an hour of commercials.
It's a long movie.
Very few previews, but lots of commercials. And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that was super easy. It's hard to ask. Maybe that's because I'm Canadian.
It's hard to ask. Yeah.
Maybe that's the Canadian culture. And I don't know.
Yeah, there's some like subtle implication that like if you ask for help, you somehow are weak. It's all wrapped up in the individualism, right? Yeah, you should you can do it on your own, and you like meritocracy, like all of it, right? Because asking for help means you're doing it with someone else. Well, that would be collective, and we don't do that here.
Yeah,
but it's also like you ask for help and then it's like you owe somebody something. Like I think
that's how I feel.
A lot are like that. It's like oh, I have to ask them for help, but then I need to do something
have their
for them.
Kids over.
I struggle with this a little bit with like
pretty much. No.
Do you guys feel this way? Like if somebody invites you over for dinner,
yes,
like, do I have to do it
I
next?
think like it from my mom. She's like, we've done dinner the last 3 times, and I'm like, so did you invite them? And she's like, yes. And she's like waiting, like they owe me a dinner now. I'm supposed to go to their house now. And I'm like, I have like, and I don't believe that, but whenever someone asks me over for dinner, I'm like, well, they're not coming to my house, so I guess it's friends off. Like
I don't personally, if I invite someone over, I don't expect them to invite me over necessarily. I'm okay with that. But I think there's a culture where it's like, well, I went, now it's your turn, and now it's my turn, and then it's your turn. And sometimes it's nice to have those friendships where they realize that maybe one member of that friendship finds it more stressful to have people over or whatever, for whatever reason, because of what happened to them. That is
to
hard
loop
to
it
do.
back.
Yeah,
right, to loop it back. It's hard to do that sometimes, and so I tried to.
There was an incident with a baked ham.
I never have people over.
It caused me some large tea trauma.
But again, so I try to offer without asking for, because it's hard for people to ask for help, and they'd be like, "Well, how can I pay you?" And stuff like, "No, we're just building community. That's all this is about. Just like if you need help, I'll help you."
Build it.
And that's it. Because we're building community, right? I think that's a good enough reason.
If you've enjoyed these video highlights, listen to the full episode on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember to like and subscribe. and ring that bell to be notified when new episodes are published. Find out more by going to www.bookinterrupted.com.
On Book Interrupted.
Never forget, every child matters.